Hey guys, doing well here. Hope you're doing well. I'm working this Dale Earnhardt Cardinal tractor number 96. As you can see, I've got my phone set up here so I can follow along with the picture. My donor car is this 1979. I can flip this around. 1979 Malibu. This is a 2000 Hasbro is what it says here. But this is a 1979 Malibu. And as you can see, I've got these decals, not from Mr. Pato, but from this guy that sells them on eBay. And you can just look it up and you can see. You can get a set for $4, and I don't know if there's shipping involved, but yeah, you can find it if you want to make it. But relatively easy. I've painted it with the Color Shot Marshmallow, and I painted the rims white because I think they came silver, if I recall. Silver or black, one of the two. But put it all back together. Painted these, the JB Weld with the flat black, so it kind of matches a little bit with the bottom. It's not overly noticeable. And now I'm getting them on the car, trying to match the picture right there. Let's do that. Now, I showed this before. I made this before as a custom request, and I bought 2 of the decal sets just in case I screwed it up. But I didn't screw it up, so I was pretty happy with it. So sold that car to the gentleman who requested it. And now I'm just going to make another one. It'll go up on eBay here when I get it done. But probably the hardest thing to do, apart from just generally making this white car, which can be a little bit of a pain. Sometimes making the white ones is a pain because you've got everything just seems to be a little bit more noticeable, right? Any blemishes in the paint, anything like that, it's just kind of magnified with white cars especially. So they're not my favorite to do. Actually, probably my favorite are the black cars, because you can hide a lot of things with a black car or dark blue car. Anyways, to get it just right, you have to kind of trim these decals. They come as rectangles, and so your windshield's not a rectangle across here. It's got a curve in it, and a little bit on the back side, same thing. But you just need to trim a little bit there, and unfortunately it's not a perfect match. Let me go back down. You guys can see what I'm doing here. It's not a perfect match as far as the length is concerned, but you're doing the best that you can. So I trimmed just a little bit so there wouldn't be like an overhang on these corners here for the roof. I have to admit, the decal set's pretty good. It's a very thin decal set compared to what you're going to get from Mr. Pato. But he doesn't sell this design, so you don't have too many options there. But I don't mind working with it, honestly. Especially when you're going over these, pretty well, flat surfaces at the end of the day. And let me see, I'm kind of looking at my distance between these little spots, these little dots on the body there. You see those dots? Kind of get it spaced there. I got to go up a little bit. Not too much. And I'm looking back here. Okay, I moved it a little bit, not too much. And I just, just trim these little pieces off and laid them in place. It's not a perfect match to what's there, but it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Alright, so now let's do this. I see a little. Oh, that's a raised area. You can see that little. That's a little raised area in the die-cast body. Okay. All right, let's get this guy on place. White Crown Engineering. Now what I had to do here, right, this was a rectangle, so I had to trim along there, and then this is more of a straight cut here, and straight cut up there to match the actual hood of the car. So let's see how this looks. Looks like my spacing's pretty good. Gotta work this water out this way. Okay. I will say, moving this with my my tweezers is usually not a good idea because it will rip. So I like to use my hands as much as possible to do any last minute adjusting before I start pressing it into place. Okay. I'm not using any microsole, as I don't think I need to. How's that look lining up? Looks pretty good. Crossed here. These decals are so thin they conform pretty well already, so I'm not really using any microsole. Just washed my hands. They're actually really dry. I'd washed them earlier. I wanted to wash them again before doing these larger blue pieces on here. Okay. Alright, so my cut is not as good as I thought it was. You can see I got a little overhang here. It's a little bit further down than I want it to be. So I'm going to let it dry, and what I may do, we'll see. It may be good enough, but I may run my X-Acto knife across here ever so carefully once it dries to trim off a little excess. The only issue doing that, right, is if you get it too deep and you push too hard, you cut into the paint. And I don't really want to do that. So I may just leave it. I've said this before, sometimes in your pursuit of perfection, you go from like 90%, and instead of going up to 100%, you go to 80%. And I sometimes have to make the decision to just settle on 90%, if you know what I mean. Just a little risk reward there. Okay, so let me look. I want to get a picture of the back of this car, if there is such a one. Here we are. I think this might be it. No. Yeah. Okay, that doesn't really tell me much. Anyways, what I'm trying to look for is what it looks like on the back. And actually, that might work. So what I'm looking for is how high that rear decal is, and it looks like it's pretty high on the rear bumper area. And I'm going to cut this piece here in a minute, but you can see the 3 stars on the trunk. So I want to be able to keep that, of course. So yeah. And then the other thing that's interesting is, you see the 96s? They're in the headlights. So just one thing to note when putting this together is those, because they give you 4 of these little 96s. I'll put them in. And so you kind of tuck them in these headlights here. Like so. I don't like to let them just sit and dry naturally. I like to push as much water out as possible so that it does sit back in there nice the way I want it to be. You know, sometimes I see people work on water slide decals and they kind of just set them in place and walk away. I don't really like to do that. I like to make sure I get as much of the water out as I can and it's in place so it doesn't move. Alright, so let's do this back. I didn't have to trim this at all. Heller Triangle Springs. Okay. So let's see, what am I going to have back here? I'm just going to have 96s on both sides, down here and down here. So the key thing here is getting it centered. And I think I'm in good place. I'm looking at my spacing here and here. If I were to eyeball this, it looks good, but let me... That lines up pretty good. It's getting a straight edge. Ooh, it looks a little bit smaller. I think I got to slide a little bit to the left. I don't think this doesn't appear to be as wide as the other one. Let me see this for a second. It's as wide as that. Maybe I'm just off. Not the first time I've been off. Okay. So I wasn't sure if I should have it down here or up here, but I'll keep it up here. Okay. All right, so that is that. One thing I did learn, so sometimes on the back of my decals, I'll write certain things, and on this particular set, I wrote on it with a felt tip pen. And when I put it in the water, because it was on the back, the felt tip, it was a green felt tip pen. So my water was actually getting green. And so when I put some of these on, I had to make sure that I got the green water out of there. So lesson learned, don't use a colored felt tip pen to write on the back of your decals, because it might color your water. All right, now let's size this guy up. So I want to keep the the 3 stars. So, and the good thing about it, it looks like it's relatively straight across. Oof. Man, that's right on those stars. So I'm going to cut straight across right on these stars, and we'll see what we get here. I'm going to give a little bit of space here. Yep, it is right on it. So, okay, I'm just gonna leave it, and what I'll do is I'll tuck it in there. I see a little bit of space, I'll just tuck it in there. All right, well, that is in there. Let's cut this guy up. Oh, guys, I'm so excited for this race this weekend. Excited to see Eric Estep's car on the track. That'll be so cool. Is Brennan Poole number 6. If I was a 124 collector, man, I would have been, if you watch Eric Estep, I would have been one of those 250 people that ordered his 124 and got on the deck lid of his car. But alas, I don't collect 124, so there's no interest in me doing that. Nonetheless, I think it's cool. That is just cool. Having a channel and making so much money on your channel that you've got enough to sponsor an Xfinity car for a race put your face on the hood. What the heck? Good for him. Good for him. No room for envy and jealousy there. I'm happy for him. It's just awesome. That's awesome. If you don't know who I'm talking about, just check out Eric E-Step NASCAR, and you will see he's got like almost 200,000 subscribers. I made some cars before for him, but yeah, really nice guy. Crazy NASCAR fan. Probably not going to have time to put all of these on, but I'll definitely put the deck lid on for you guys and showing you here how I cut these out. So who you guys got for the championship? I think it's going to be terrific. I really like I did in my other video, I'm just so excited for Chastain. How can you not cheer for the guy? I think he's got a legitimate shot, but I'll be honest with you, I think it's Chase Elliott's to lose. He's been kind of in the shadows. He's won a championship before. He knows what it takes. You know, Christopher Bell, not normally that good at Phoenix, but you never know. Logano, you know, he's won a championship before. He knows what it takes. I think those two are probably my favorites, Logano and Chase Elliott, to be honest. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Crazy things happen in the last race. You never know. Somebody get a flat tire. Somebody get, you know, rubbed, damaged, whatever, blow an engine, who knows. So should be exciting. Don't think there's too many people rooting against Chastain. I'll be honest. You know, I'll be rooting for him, that's for sure. Don't really know. I haven't really looked to see how good he is at Phoenix, but guy's a racer. So, but I am not gonna. You know, if I was a betting man, I would put my money on Elliott or Logano. Alright, let's see. So right along here, the decal's so thin, I'm not too concerned about, you know, this folding over onto a curved surface. It folds over really nicely. So normally I would, you know, cut this out a little bit closer. But just trying to get a little bit of the excess here, and that's it. Come on. That's that. All right, let's get this guy on here. Yeah. That'll work. That'll work. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of leave it raised up just a little bit on that spoiler, and that way when I paint that spoiler, which will be like a silver, I guess, I'll be able to run it right on there. Don't need to tuck this up here too much at all. Kind of naturally folds over because it's so thin. Looks like I need to slide it a little bit this way. Pretty good. All right, let me wrap up this video with my next Bible verse, which actually is kind of a long one. Bible memory verse 23. Pleasing others. Romans 15, 1-3. And this is really focused on being others-oriented and not so much looking at what we need ourselves. Very difficult, right? Our natural man looks at what is best for me, myself, and I, not so much what is best for other people. But Romans chapter 15, verses 1-3. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak and not to please ourselves. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. For even Christ pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me. So everybody thinks they're strong and spiritually strong. So the verbiage is really after everyone to focus on pleasing other people. The neighbor, right? Love God, love your neighbor. And the example is Jesus. He didn't please himself. The reproaches of human beings that reproached God fell on Christ, the one who paid the penalty for our sins. God bless you guys. Have a great day.